Hi, I'm making this video on a very powerful day. It's known as a burner day in the Mayan calendar. And if you Google burner day and go onto my blog flowwithjo.com, you'll find some more information about that. I'm going to make 4 videos today that try and explain, give a bigger picture overview of the belief system that I work with in the way that I see it. And my intention is to share a conscious evolution framework. So that's where I'm coming from. As always, it's an expression of my journey, and I've been working with the 260-day mind wave spell for I'm in my 8th year now. So number 8 in the Mayan is integration. In astrology, it's the 8th house. Traditionally, that is in Scorpio. It's about death and rebirth, and literally rebirthing oneself, or the concept of oneself. So today in the Mayan, we're on Friday in the Gregorian calendar, the 7th of June 2019, and we are in Sun in Gemini and Moon in waxing Leo. We're in a particular dynamic of initiating Gemini new moon, and going up to, on the 17th of June, we have got full moon in Sagittarius. So this axis is the co-creation axis. It's the ability of the human being to go deeper beyond surface relationship. And we do this, in my understanding, through healing. Today we're at Leo, as I make this, at 3:26 in the afternoon at 11 degrees. So I'm just going to read you that degree. A boy removing a thorn from his foot, the fatal flaw, knowing with excruciating clarity that you're bearing a character flaw that goes against everything you seek and hunger for. The flaw is that you do not stand firm and back yourself up in your own truth. Instead, you pretend that you are a more superficial, as in Gemini on one level, or easygoing prototype, but you do not get away with it internally. A dark dispute develops inside, subtly poisoning the atmosphere, and somehow, slowly and gradually, despite yourself, you're being hurtled towards an abyss that you cannot avoid. To cross over the abyss, to uproot physically, energetically and emotionally your claim against yourself, your self-negation. And when this happens, a sober clarity of self-affirmative strength comes right in and proves to be a gift for all your world, worth every ounce of arduous effort to attain. That is from Inside Degrees, and if you want to check it out on the internet, the web address is aquaorfire.net. And if you know anything about astrology, you know what your degrees are, you know how to read the moon degrees every day using a lunarium, then you can really access the matrix of human evolution and the holograph that we are in, which this is what all these frameworks are about that I share. Been mind-blowing for me since I came into this awareness, which primarily really was when I moved to Glastonbury in 2011. And that's when I started to connect to the people that I needed to meet and the frameworks that I needed to use. My sign in the Mayan is Blue Solar Hand, which is all about finding the tools to use to shape your destiny. because in my understanding and belief, that is what we're here for, and it's at an amazing time on the planet. Today, as I said earlier, we are in a burner day, which is on the calendar. I'll show you where we are. We're just here, which is in the Green Castle. And red self-existing serpent is the day. And red serpent is the 5th Mayan sign. And basically how that works within numerology is the first 4 days are the structure. So we begin up here with red dragon, white wind, blue night, and yellow seed. And that initiates us, that structure. We then go into what is known as the overtone. So it's like the overlay. And this is always the mastery code. So red serpent, again, we begin, red serpent begins here in the blue castle. And the blue castle is all about transformation. These terms may not be familiar to you, and so that in itself takes a while to shift over that language. This time is all about new learning. It's all about the overtone. It's all about relationship and how we relate to ourselves. I'm passionate about sharing frameworks of new learning with people and really understanding that we have crafted our own personality construct, so you can call it an interface if you like. And how is your interface serving you at the moment on the planet? Are you finding your life a bit challenging? Are you ready to come out of your comfort zone and learn new ways to really understand yourself? Because at this time on planet Earth, we have been in a holograph that is largely, the power aspects of that holograph largely coming from people who are very well aware of how to work out a game plan of power play and keep a lot of people in the dark in order to do that and manipulate and control key areas of society. You can see that as a really dark agenda. You can also see that as simply a reflection of human evolution, and whichever way you choose to really interact with that is key for your next stage in this life. There are a lot of very sick relationship patterns on the planet at the moment, and they literally make people sick because they're very unhealthy ways of being for the human being, which largely most of the human race still is very ignorant about that. And this is what is increasing our awareness of what creates health and an ability to live a very happy and rewarding and rich life. How that happens is key. So how a person believes the world to be, and primarily how each one of us believes ourselves to be in it, reflects how it actually is. So again, just using a very simple framework of, we literally do create our own reality with our belief system. And when you go deeper with that, you see how all your life events since being born really affected you. And if you're still holding on to key traumatic events, then equally you're going to still be living that story on a daily basis in some way. And what I offer you is, most people are in that stage at the moment, and what we actually see as the problem is actually the solution. And at the same time, we have amazing tools that are available to human beings who are willing to do that inner work and become very aware of what their story is, what their ancestral story is and how they are living it, and then to actually bring that into full conscious awareness. Because again, what I offer you is, if you've got past the age of 30, you already have all your story there. And so all you're going to do your whole life is repeat that story. Now, that in itself may sound very mundane, boring, or even horrific in some way for some people. But actually, again, this is the importance of knowing what your storyline is and what your cosmic codes are. So your astrology reveals your natal chart when you were born, reveals key information, which is limitless. You know, it's amazing, magical stuff. And now with the great advent of the search engine, you can Google it. You can Google anything, and you can start to really see what your patterns are, what your codes are, and really start to master that journey that you're on. This is your mission impossible, should you choose to accept it. So instead of seeing it as a negative, my perspective is, as I started to see my codes and learn about them, it made sense of my journey so far. And as I learned other healing tools to work with that as well, I started to learn how to release my old story and my limiting beliefs about myself and how that impacted on me and my world. And once you understand the science behind that, the quantum science and the human biology and physiology and new cutting edge therapies that come in where there's a blend of East and West, mind, body and spirit, how it all links in, then you really start to come into mastery of this red serpent, because red serpent is all about relationship to oneself first. Burner days on the planet come in every 65 days, and going back many thousands of years ago, the Mayan people, amongst many other wise societies on the planet, mapped tables for thousands of years as to where the stars were and how they impacted on people on the earth and key events on the earth as well. So climate, for example, how it affected the environment. Now these burner days then were used every 65 days to vent human emotion, to release old emotional pressure points, if you like. So they would have ritual days, they would have sacrifice days, they would have a way of harnessing this energy. So again, the more that you become aware of these key times, these key energetic placements that are for the whole of the community, they're great. The more that you become aware of your personal burner day, which is connected to your mind sign, then the more empowered you can be to really start to work with yourself. Most of the focus for people is on the outside. That's how we've been educated to be. This creates a loss of power and a loss of focus. And if you just think about it logically, of all the many things that are outside of you, how many of them can you actually control? You can control your life in terms of how you react to what happens to you, how you feel about it, and whether you come through this in a very empowered way. And I believe that's what we're here for, to bring in new solutions from a clear space inside. So we're not repeating the old story, we're not repeating the old solutions, and we really start to become clear with that Leo energy of the child of who now is returning to innocence. When we heal wounding, we change everything about how we see why it happened, how we interact with the world before, because we're still held in that space of it, how our perceptions were affected, and what did it allow to happen? That's a really key question that I always use for myself and with my clients. recognizing that we have created an interface from our experience, and not only our life, but every other person who has come before us in our DNA lineage, is absolutely key to becoming free of it. We have to become an expert on ourselves, on how we relate, and come to a choice point and have the courage to really do whatever it takes to break these old disempowering codependent codes on a personal level. And then this literally changes the way that we are in the world, energetically, emotionally. And this is how the framework changes. This is what the prophecies are all about. So this particular framework of red self-existing serpent ties in, as it always does, with an earlier time in this code. So again, red serpent, we go across here, the fifth sign in the blue castle. When did that actually happen? You can cross-reference all these dates on my website on flowwithjo.com, where I have the latest spiral and previous spirals as well for the last 4 years. So if you choose, you can empower yourself and you can go back and see what was happening to you on planet Earth at that time and see how much you've evolved since then. Okay, so this particular one in this spiral was on February the 8th, and this actually incorporated Valentine's Day as well. So if you go back to that time, if you've got a diary, if you've got Facebook, if you've got any social media, it's a great opportunity to go and see how you were doing, because Red Serpent Wavespell has 10 portal days in it, okay? And portal days, as you can see, these are these black squares. These are times throughout history and into the future where key things will be happening in the starry skies and on Earth in order for people to evolve. We're here to evolve. We're here to be flexible and open to new learning and really let go of the past on all levels. I hope you have an amazing day, whatever you're doing, and I will have other videos to try and bring, you know, the bigger picture down into the smaller one, so that these tools are practical and useful for people to use. Lots of love. See you soon.